Well, it's happened. Maybe you were just at home washing the dishes when you get a call. It's from your boss. They want you to present at a meeting or give a pitch, something related to your business, and you have to do it in
English.
If you're an English language learner, this can be even more stressful. So, what I want to do today is go through some techniques for business English pronunciation to make sure that you can sound the most natural when you have to give your own presentation, your own meeting, your own pitch at work. Hey guys, this is Jeff with Fluent American, and let's look at our first business English pronunciation technique. It involves intonation. If you're not familiar with intonation, you really need to check out a video like this, but a quick rundown. Intonation can sound like this, that's rising intonation, this, that's falling intonation, or even this, which is like a wavering fall rise intonation. Each of these has different functions in English, and all of them can be extremely helpful for your meeting. So, for instance, you can use a falling intonation when you want to provide extra emphasis. We need to finish this today. Notice that fall on today. It just makes it sound even stronger. Rising intonation is to let people know you're not done talking. So when I was looking at the numbers, notice there that numbers that keeps going up, ers. It's also used when you ask a yes or no question. Do you have this information? How about our last one that we talked about, wavering intonation? This can be used to make something sound a little bit friendlier or to indicate that you're trying to get someone to provide you some information. To give you an example, if you're trying to schedule an appointment at a doctor's office, you call the number and they pick up the phone and they say, doctor's office, doctor's office. They say that with that intonation pattern to indicate that they want to know why you're calling. So you can say, hi, I'd like to schedule an appointment. If you first call the doctor's office and they say, doctor's office, that sounds a little bit cold. It's professional, but it's not super welcoming. But if you say, doctor's office, that just sounds a little bit friendlier. To give you another idea of wavering intonation, let's use this same example. So you said that you want to schedule an appointment. So they look through their calendar and they say, oh, we have an opening on Tuesday. Day. Notice that fall rise. So this indicates that it's a sentence, but it's also kind of a question. They don't know if this works for you. So they're kind of asking, hey, does this time on Tuesday work, or would a different day be better? Another business English pronunciation technique that's going to be helpful for you is contrastive stress. Contrastive stress is when you want to highlight the differences or even the similarities between two things. I like big tomatoes, but I also like small tomatoes. By the way, here's a quick example of some contrastive stress.
It's not about the story you want to tell, it's what you want them to do.
Another technique that you may find helpful when you're giving presentations or in meetings is the use of tag questions. Tag questions are your opportunities to make sure that your audience is understanding what you're saying. For instance, maybe you're talking about some data and you think the conclusion is obvious. Well, you could say something like this.
So it looks like we would save money, right?
Tag questions are going to use a rising intonation if you're seeking agreement. So again, make sure you're saying it like, right, right. If you use a falling intonation on a tag question, it can make things sound like you're a little bit skeptical or you're even upset. You didn't finish the project on time.
Did you?
Notice that did you is falling there. Another business English pronunciation technique that I want you to be mindful of is the use of pauses. What I see with native speakers, as well as people who learned English, is that there's a tendency when you're speaking
to talk too quickly.
You need to slow down. When you have important things that you're trying to say, to make sure that your audience understands they're important, you can pause when you finish saying it. To give you a quick example of how pauses can be used effectively in your speech, take a listen to this.
1966 Ford GT350.
Try saying that to yourself a little bit faster.
It loses its impact.
One thing that you're going to notice is this is going to add more stresses to your speech. In fact, I could even say it like this. It will add more stresses to your speech. Notice how much more impactful that became with not only the pauses, but with the addition of stress. This is going to be helpful, again, when you have information that you're trying to reinforce. This also relates to a big difference between conversational English, English you use on the street, and English that you use in professional settings. To give an example of this, listen to this story that the speaker is giving. I'll indicate for you all the places where he's pausing.
Exact techniques that I'm going to share with you are techniques that actually got me fired recently. And I know you may be thinking, like, why in the world?
The last business English pronunciation strategy I really encourage you to try using is to repeat structures in your sentences. What do I mean by repeating structures? Take a listen to this example.
Are they people interested in money or sustainability? Are they theoretical or are they doers? If you're pitching to engineers, show them under the hood. If you're pitching to marketing people, tell them the outcomes.
You could hear it there. If you're doing this, do this. If you're doing this, do this. So notice that there's a repetition of the sentence structures. There's a repetition of where the stresses are falling in those sentences. Those acts of repetition are intentional. Your audience picks up on them and it helps them remember what you're saying more clearly. Think of it this way. Each time your audience hears an idea, if they hear it multiple times, then that is a way to tell their brain, oh, this is really important because I heard this before and now I'm hearing this again. It's not just about repeating the words, though. It's also about repeating, for instance, the intonation patterns as well, or repeating where the stresses fall in the sentence. Look at these two sentences. Notice that the stresses are falling in about the same place for both of them. So how do you incorporate all of these strategies into your own business English speech? What I would suggest is if you know you're giving a meeting, or if you know you're giving a presentation or a pitch or whatever you need for your company, you want to practice saying what you want to say as often as possible. Ideally, you do it in front of a mirror, so that way you can see what your body language is as well. I've certainly had it happen to me where I was completely unprepared. It can be stressful. I get it. So we want to make sure that you're feeling as confident and comfortable in your language as well as what you need to say as we can.